Hi, welcome everyone. We are celebrating Women's Day at Ranga with some amazing leaders with us. I'll just go around the table as they appear on my screen, starting with Simran, is the founder of KidStack, renewable, tolerant, really innovative work that she's doing over there. Mansi, Chris, uh, known to all of you, his television shows. Dangsha, who is leading the team at PMR. They are an amazing logistics company moving people across the globe. And Shivani, who is the founder of Fab Alley, fashion brand for women, and a household name amongst all of us across India. So welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. Amazing to have you all.
Thank you, Amitabh, for
Thank you.
having us. It's a pleasure
Superb.
indeed.
Yeah, so I mean, at Ranga, what we do is we help digital parents make informed choices about the various content that kids are consuming, the apps, the games. But I would like to jump in with probably the most straightforward question that when it comes to all of you, and I think I'll just start with Shivani, going in reverse order. That what is the most challenging part when it comes to balancing between work and children? This is a question only women get. Men never get this question. So, Shivani, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you. I think it's lovely being a part of this panel. And really, truly, I hope every day is Women's Day. And I think that's how we need to, look at this. But no, I think, yeah, Amitabh, absolutely right. This question around how do you balance, your son and work. And we have a lot of sisters, and when we started, when I was pregnant, it was very hard for me, in the first few months to even kind of break this news to them, because I wasn't sure how people will react. Will it be like, is she not going to be in action too much now? So I think there are so many kind of stereotypes around women having kids, especially working women. And I think it's really time, while things are progressing, it's really time for many of us to kind of stand up and show people that it can be done. I think from a challenge perspective, I mean, it's like doing two full-time jobs, right? Like, as it said, raising a kid is 100%. It's a full-time job. There's a lot of dedication, commitment, and of course, running a company is a lot more than a regular professional, job that people have. It's also your whole life in a way. So I think there are challenges around, say, the largest challenge around time management, because especially when you have young kids, how do you kind of balance, and you have a startup to run, how do you balance both? How do you kind of ensure that the kids not feeling left out? And especially in the early years, you want to be there, you want to give kind of time, you want to really nurture the child. So I think that's the first thing, and I think the solution to that, to me, is support. So while this challenge exists, and there are people like Indra Nui who said you can't have it all. Of course, you've got to. There will be one over the other. But I think the solution to this is the support system, to say that time management is going to be challenging. You will be working weekends. You will be working late. You will be traveling. But if you have a great support system, whether it's your spouse or your parents or whatever that is, or a great nanny maybe, whatever that is, I think is what's really required. And I think, to me, that's been the biggest challenge, to say that, how do you manage both, and how do you manage both without feeling guilty? I think that was the real thing, because when you're at work, you like, you have a kid howling at home for, and mama, and then you're at home and you like, there's so much that's left at work. So I think just that balancing act, doing it happily without feeling guilty, and really saying that this is you both are equal, right? And that there's no choosing it, but really kind of building a support system to ensure that you're able to manage both, I think, to me, is the way. But the biggest challenge, definitely, is how do you manage two full-time jobs?
Totally. So it takes a village to bring up a child, and village, I'm reaching out to all of you, especially the fathers. This is a team job. It only works when dads are there. I think Akansha is having some internet trouble. So Mansi, I'll come to you because your profession is especially brutal when you have a child. We have read it, at least from the outside, that post actresses have a child, they cannot be the mainstream actress. So how do you manage it? How do you navigate that space?
Well, what you say is absolutely right. If an actor is having a child or even getting married, then she's catapulted ASAP to mother roles. Then it's like, okay, you're away from the category of playing the girl next door or, whatever age group you may belong to. But then those are the challenges that's how it's perceived and that's how it is on ground level. Even if we speak about it like, it's not the scenario, but that's exactly what it is at ground level. But in that scenario, too, you have a career where you have invested about 18 years of life, and then you take a break because you have a child, a break of 3, 4 years. By then, the industry has moved far ahead, and you are literally juggling to cope up with them and the recent requirements and the change of a work environment. And it's as if building new career after you joining back, having taken a break for raising your child. The child is like 3 to 4 years. Of course, then you get back to work. There are work hours which range anywhere from 2 to 14 hours a day. So by the time you get home, there's hardly anything left for you to even, or that energy for you to even inquire what your child did the whole day, or it's the time is lost. So yes, that was a major challenge. But I always believe that women, although all genders are equal and we firmly believe in gender equality, but women are naturally blessed with multitasking and organizational skills. We might find it difficult, it becomes challenging, it becomes overwhelming at one point of time. But somewhere or the other, at the back of our mind, we exactly know how to deal with this and how to get through this. So I think that's somewhere helped me. But yes, I had the firm determination to juggle both and to see to it that Omisha, my daughter, is raised as per the normal parenting standards, because then you read a lot of books and then you want to inculcate all those ideas which are in theory, and practically they fail because every child is different, every child's milestones are different. So that doesn't work. Motherhood is too much of, I believe, instinct and spirituality, and at the spur of the moment that you can just cook up and get through it.
Oh, totally. I think motherhood is like the true form of entrepreneurship because you're always solving. You are just solving for a script that hasn't been written before, and it's your way of doing it. So
It's Wordle, Amitabh. It's Wordle. There are gray blocks and yellow blocks, and then, oh, you reach the green block.
oh, amazing! That's an amazing way of putting it. So Akanksha, you've been part of putting together this empire, partnership, time commitments, managing this wordle. How do you? What is your secret sauce of balancing the two?
Uh, so I've been my past 3 years practicing all my life what I'm doing. So when I have to have a right because it's like faith because I don't know how to do it because all my life
Akansha, sorry to jump in. Maybe shutting off the video stream might help because yeah, the sound was weak. No, we're unable to hear you. Really sorry, Akansha. I'll just swing back to you. Simran, I come to you with the same question because I know you have two kids and you managed to start the startup exactly at the same time. So how do you go about this?
I think I took the easy route. I selected the startup which involved my kids. So it's all about toys and kids, and I needed them. So I somehow, had an easy way in terms of not really going to an office setup. I work from home. My kids are my guinea pigs, and I love that. But in a way, that's also challenging because then they're around all the time. And that's where I think Mansi and Shivani sort of hit the spot that it's all about time management, really, and the support, at home. That's how there is no way you can do this without the support from family and just sort of struggling to make sure that everything is achieved in a day. Yeah, and I think that's what we're talking about, that we all are in this ship, which is sinking every day. And we need to there's a crisis management. And the best part is that every day is a new struggle. What happened yesterday is not going to happen today. And it's not going to work again. The bribes we gave yesterday probably won't work today. So it's crisis management, literally. And I think that for a parent to do on a daily basis is, I mean, yeah, I think hats off to all of us.
Oh, totally. And with the style and finesse you four do it, because I kind of know a little bit about it. It is totally amazing. Akanksha, is the internet better? Should we swing back? Let's
Yes,
give it a
yes.
shot.
Am I audible? I'm audible.
Yeah, yeah, totally,
Having a little
totally.
tough
So,
time today. There's some tower that has fallen around the office, and that's been a little challenging
no worries, no
for us
worries.
to
But
figure it
tell us
out.
your story. How do you manage the two?
So for me, it was actually uh, I didn't want to ever make it a choice. So for me, my daughter was in that period of staying at home and getting sorted with the body. I was at my desk. She used to be literally lying on the desk, and I used to breastfeed her. I continue to breastfeed her till date, and we've sort of built this journey together. I took her everywhere with me whenever I used to go for work, for my conferences, and people were so warm and welcoming that I was literally with a pram next to me, and I was doing my meetings. And gladly, I could do it. I created sort of an atmosphere in a way that my child to work, and had my baby. I realized the kind of challenges women with the surroundings, and then we created like a pumping room and a baby room in our own office. But for me, actually, Samara has been part of the journey that I'm doing. She's been part of everything that I do, and yes, like here, management is the key. Sometimes you have to really prioritize, even if it has to that managing work and the baby with literally no help around was a big struggle for all of us. So I guess kudos to all mothers who sort of balance this act. I think down the line when we're on, we do have that leverage of doing it our way. So I made the most of that, and yeah. So for me, she's everything that I do, and with her, it's even better and stronger.
Amazing, amazing. And then that's so true, right? I mean, it is about balancing time, and children and career should never be a choice. They go together and they come together. So from parenting, I just jump directly into digital
I
parenting
think
and
it's
ask you.
about
Okay, think there's some internet issues still. So, there is abundance of digital content, and that's like a choice all of you need to make because, smart devices are there, phones are there, laptops are there, and it's all accessible to all of us, including children. And I think I would like to get started from Mansi because this is your industry, right? You see a lot of stuff which is happening across. So how do you make the choice of what digital content does your child consume? How do you go about it? What is the secret sauce behind that? Mansi, I think I'm not able to hear you. Nope, no audio. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Um, while Mansi fixes her audio, Shivani, I would like to bring the same question to you about how do you make the choice about what your child sees? What is that conversation like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Amitabh, I think so. I have a 2-year-old son, so it's very early for him specifically from a content consumption perspective. But what I would like to say is that I think, today's kids, I mean, just the kind of exposure that they have. I mean, when he was a year old, he could put YouTube on my phone even with very limited access. He knows what ads are and can, kind of click on skip ads, etc. So I think just the kind of exposure that kids have is um, while it's great from a knowledge perspective at some point, but it's also very, very dangerous. I think it's also very I mean, they have access to the world, and I think it's very difficult for us as parents to control what they view. And hence I think a lot of what we tell them, what we teach them, what we want them to consume. So for example, things like, it's just time to say learn ABCD, and I'm okay with playing that, for example, while he's having a meal, so that if at all he has to consume content digitally, let it be something that maybe just adds a little bit to what he's learning. So I think for me as a parent, while I try to reduce any kind of time on any screen time because he's too young, but I understand that kids will consume digital content, especially in these times where COVID, I mean, with no school, etc. I mean, online schools for 2 year olds. So they will consume content, but I think as long as we can tune it towards kind of things which they're anyway learning from a schooling perspective, and maybe, even once they're older, maybe games and things like that, which are more in line with, while it's interesting, but it's still to do with what they're learning. And I think as much as we can push it, I suppose we're talking about early kids, right? Because beyond a certain age, it's very difficult to, really tell your kids what they can and cannot consume. But I think, especially in the early years, it's. I mean, for me, the strategy would be to really kind of focus on anything that adds a little bit from a learning perspective and also makes him happy because he knows that he's seeing the screen.
Oh, totally. And that's pretty much the mission of Ranga. And I hope the platform can help you in those choices
Absolutely.
and also give you the ingredients which are there. Mansi, is the sound back? Should we give it another
Yeah, can you
try?
hear me? No,
Yes,
can you
loud
hear
and
me?
clear. Loud and
Okay.
clear. So how do you decide what your kids should watch online and what is that process like?
Amitabh, my kid is 14. I don't think I have any decision power left anymore. Also, I
Uh,
also believe that digital content, whatever is there in that arena, is there, is the future. So there's no point running away from it. But all I tell her, she's 14. So all I tell her is, what is good, what is bad, how you need to interact with people. Don't the do's and don'ts of being in a digital space, the theory that all I can give her, the testimonials that all I can give her, and rest I tell her, use your instinct and end of the day, if you do a mistake, we are here to clean it up, because you cannot tell kids that you cannot do a mistake. Mistakes happen even with us as parents, but it doesn't seem bigger to us because we know how to salvage it. But kids look up to us to salvage their mess. So I always tell her that, okay, go for it, but be aware of what you're doing. And also, Amita, like I've also said in my previous chat sessions that we always educate our child not to be a victim in a digital space, but we also need to educate our children to not to be perpetrators. That's also another side to it. Cyberbullying, or staying. If we tell a child you need to stay away from bullying, don't get bullied, then you also need to educate your child that you don't bully anyone else. So I guess maintaining that kind of a balance. And as I said that, when as a teenager, my father told me, you're 21, you take your own decisions. Today at 14, kids are ready to take their own decisions. So there is a very little space that you have got to barge there, or you rather cannot even barge. You need to take permission, and not every time you get the permission to be in that space. So all you can do is just educate them, make them aware. I never believed in parental, locking system. Whether some sites are locked, you cannot watch it. You cannot. End of the day, they know more than you about digital space. They know how to get through it. So there's no point. These locking systems don't work. So the best thing is to have a dialogue, to let them know what the outside space is, to let them know, engaging with strangers or giving away too much of your private information, what repercussions could be for it. So I think I'm still juggling, and I'm like someone said that we are learning every day. Is that you win today doesn't mean that you're going to win tomorrow as well. Tomorrow you're going to falter, but then that's what parenting is all about. Together, end of the day, you just get through it.
Oh, totally. Oh, totally. So, I mean, we are getting actually some great advice here. Curation from Shivani, communication and care from Mansi, and that pretty much sums it up on how to make these digital decisions. And I'll come to Simran and Akansha with a different question over here because some very important points were covered, and this is about leadership and its challenges. And there are great parallels between leadership and parenting. That what Shivani's saying, you're constantly learning, decision making. So do you guys also see that? Is there leadership feeding into your parenting kind of feeding into your leadership? How does that work? And anybody can start first. Simran, Akansha, whoever wants.
I'll go first if that's okay. So,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely, there is no way, two ways about it. Leadership and parenting go hand in hand. And the best part is that maybe for leadership, you were prepared. You know, you climbed a ladder and you reached there. But in parenting, you're never prepared. Once it's there, it's there. And suddenly you find these two tiny eyes looking up to you for everything. So getting into that zone where you have to decide what you have to do for your child and taking decisions where sometimes honestly I can say for all of us even we don't know the answer to it, but that trust needs to be instilled in the child. And like I said, it's literally a crisis management every day. And leadership sort of has a very, I mean, maybe either we have our own team. Sometimes you're just lonely at the top, which is also true. And though we all have family support, otherwise we would have not been here. But sometimes you do end up feeling alone. And that is a challenge that probably leaders and parents, mothers, rather more than anyone else feel. So, yeah, I think all of us are trying to steer the ship in our own way, being the captain of the ship.
Awesome. Akanksha, what do you think?
Am I audible firstly? I think this
Yes, yes, loud and
is
clear. Internet is back.
right. So for me, leadership has always been bringing out the best out of someone, right? I mean, as a leader, you're constantly trying to make sure that people are doing their best. They are doing the best as per their potential. They're always motivated. They're full of confidence. And I truly think that as a mother, that's what I would want for my child, right? I would want her to figure out what she likes, how she, what she wants to do, be confident. So I think at the end of the day, it is making sure that your child knows themselves better. You're giving them a platform to explore. You're giving them like a situation where they could do what they want to do. And hence, I think it is in a way doing what you do every day with your team and coming back home and doing the same with your child. But yes, of course, like Simran said, that you're always, you probably are prepared when you're when you're a leader, because you've seen so much already in life that that you realize that what could come next, and you're sort of prepared. But with children and with parenting, and especially with the whole COVID situation that came in place, I think we were all just completely zapped off and we didn't know how to figure this out. So yes, it's always surprising, and like things can be difficult as a leader, and you don't know what can sort of change situations tomorrow. Similarly, kids can do the same to you. You think that you know a lot about what's going on, and then suddenly you realize I need to figure this out again. So it's constantly doing, undoing, learning, relearning, and then figuring it out all again with your child. So yeah.
So true, and that just sounds like the path of entrepreneurship as well, because that is exactly what you do on day in and day out. But it's a leadership question, so I need to come to Shivani and Mansi as well, because you guys are doing great jobs. How do you see parenting and leadership together? When you draw parallels, are there any parallels? Is there some co-learning? How is it for you guys? Shivani, go first.
All right, yeah. No, so I think for me, leadership really, uh, is about saying that can you just by virtue of being the way you are, being your communication, etc., the way you lead. I mean, can you inspire people, right? Can you inspire people to be their best? And that truly is what leadership is. Whether you work for yourself, whether you work for you have a team of 10 or 100 or thousands. I mean, can you really be that person who's just by setting your own example by can you do that for others? And I think that's what true leadership is. And when you look at that from a of course from a work perspective, from for me, for example, for my company, for my startup, I mean, that's what I aspire to do and have been for the last 10 years. That can my actions inspire my team to be stronger, better? And I think, and when you draw this parallel at home, I think it's, for me, it's absolutely the same. Because can I just from just be a mother that my son looks up to? Can I be a mother who he kind of says that I maybe learned something from her as I grew up? And I think so those are something. So for me it's actually the same, whether it's at work or it's with your family, it's with your son. I think that's what it is. And I would be the happiest if 10 years, 15 years from now my son doesn't say, oh, I didn't get to spend enough time with my mom, but he actually says that I loved going with her to her office and I learned so much. And I think that's really, and that would be me being like a successful leader, a successful mother. And I think that's how I define leadership at work and at home.
So true, so true. Mansi, something that Simran mentioned earlier is really true for your industry because it does get very lonely, right? It's a super duper competitive space you are in. And as a mother as well, when everybody's looking to you for the answers, or at least this little one is, does it show similarities and how do you manage both of them?
So, Mab, I believe in the professional space, you are the leader right till the end. You are guiding the team every single day because you are responsible for the decision. But I guess in parenting, the day you become the mother, you are a natural leader because your child looks up to you. Your child, you want to educate your child in everything. The child is aware of a lot of things. So the child is automatically and naturally going to follow you. But that is not going to be there for the entire life. It's going to change. There is going to come a time when you are going to be on the same page. Probably decisions are matching or the decisions are going to conflict. That's when the real tug of war begins. And that's when you also need to realize that this is that space where now the child naturally is also wanting to be a leader, also wanting to lead in some aspects of decision making of a family life. So understanding that, and then then the two leaders, and if it's like it's I'm a divorced mother, so it's me and my child in the house. But of course, I have an ex-husband who's co-parenting, so we are three leaders. There sometimes happens in a space where we all three want to lead, and then we don't know how to go about it. So that is going to happen, especially when your child is a teenager. The decision making power is going to shift. And as a parent, you should be ready for that shift, which is unlikely at professional space. Unless you are going to join as a leader, you're going to quit as a leader. But in parenting, you can join and quit. It is there, and then you need to take that back seat, and you need to let your child lead. And also that also gives a sense of responsibility for the child, where the child turns back and feels that I can also take certain decisions, and yes, they can be right too. My mother listened to me. Yes, this one I took the decision and it turned out well. So that is also a way of preparing them for the outside world. And yes, I always believe that there is a difference between your professional life and your personal life. What I am at my workplace is not what I am at home. So it's very important that before you enter your house from your workspace, you need to shut it off completely and be the most normal and grounded person. A parent who can make mistakes, a parent who's vulnerable, who's a parent who's probably tired, a parent who just wants to give up today. That's what a real space your home is. And the day you have these two spaces sorted, I think your parenting at home gets sorted too. Your child sorted too. Because the child needs to see the real you. As you want a child to be real in front of you, you need to be a real parent too. Exposing yourself with all your failures and frustrations, which you cannot do in front of the team at professional front, because you can't show your team that you're frustrated. You need to lead. But it's a child in front of a child that you're allowed to do that, and that helps in bonding. So for me, leadership is not the same. My leadership is completely different. I hardly lead at home. Like I've said, my child leads home now. That's the support system I have. I today only I felt my child is going to be 14 now, 19th of this March, and I was looking at her, and now the only thing that I do today is I go for work and I read a book, and the rest everything with my staff is managed by my child. So today I see that my tree is bearing fruits. You know, I am being now. She is my parent. Okay, so she tells me, okay, your lunch is this, and these are your tips that are being packed, and so that has helped. And because of online schooling, those many hours that kids were at school, we never got to spend that much of time together. But since I was at home and she was at home, and we both got to know each other better, got to know our routine better. So I think somewhere, if COVID had its side effects, the bad ones, it really helped in bonding at home too. which we wouldn't have scooped that time, be around them. It was that one good thing that happened. So today I would say that, my child leads at home and I lead at work.
Amazing, amazing. I'm going a little off script because the question came in from Anika, which I think is really, really important. What would you say to inspire women who feel stuck at times? When it gets too much to handle. While yes, it is an amazing space and leadership is good, and so is parenting. It is also a tough spot, and I think I'll go to you, Akanksha, to get us started on it. That where do you get that inspiration from when you're really fatigued and tired, and it does get too much? I mean, we have three kids. My co-founders all have kids, and I see the moms, and I just celebrate. I said, "You guys are superhumans." So what do you do at that stage? How do you get inspired? What's your trick for that?
It's actually not the most easiest thing, like easiest space to be in, because as a leader, when you've been working and doing your own thing for so long, you're always behind being perfectionist at everything, right? You want to make sure everything is correct, the meal is cooked, like the most healthiest meals are there, the morning routine is followed, then you're also doing the rhymes with the child, you're also doing music with the kid, you're dancing with the child, and you're also coming to work and doing your trainings, your meetings. As I think as women, we sort of want everything to be cornered in the right way. We somehow cannot accept that something can also go wrong. And that's where I think we need to rework on ourselves at times. Like, today morning, my daughter had to wear white to school. And I completely forgot in the morning because when I was giving a bath to her, she put soap in my eyes. And I just completely forgot everything after that. So when I left her at school, I realized, oh my God, she had to wear white. And I just put away wear, red. I think she's wearing red today. Yes. So I think, I was disturbed by even this little thing that, okay, I forgot this. But I guess we do have a lot on our plate on many days, most of the days, I would think. And I think sometimes a little bit things not going our way is allowed. So I think we should stop, judging ourselves every day, which is not easy. It's very hard. I'm talking about myself personally. And I can also talk about Shivani because I know her since childhood. So I think we are both people who are like, everything has to be perfect, like, like the right things the right way. So I think we need to cushion ourselves a little bit and tell ourselves that it's okay. And yes, sometimes things may not happen the way we want them, but still we can make the most of what it is. So just
Awesome. Shivani, do you agree with your childhood friend? I did not know you guys were childhood friends, but awesome. So do you
No,
agree with what she's saying?
no, absolutely. I mean, what I think is that we will get stuck and we will, on many, many days, feel out of our depth, right? We'll be like, I can't manage work. I can't manage a growing, child or children. I can't manage my husband and in-laws and parents and that's going to happen, I think. But it's all right. I think, a lot of it is about saying that it's okay if you're stuck today. Tomorrow's still kind of, you know, tomorrow's going to be a new day and we'll be able to kind of just start afresh. So I think for me, I've just started taking it as a, this is going to happen. We will, with like I said, like two jobs, you can't have it all, you can't do it all. You will feel, many times that, like Akanksha said, like you'll be out of your depth. I mean, it happens with me many times when I feel my son's teacher ordered something I forgot for a week. She reminds me this, that. I mean, that's going to be life. Like, I can't do everything. And I think the thing is that we need to stop beating ourselves up. And I think, it's harder said than done. I think all of us here, I'm sure, do it. And because we just have that thing, it's been ingrained that, we have to be great at everything, right? And when you have that approach, smallest mistakes, smallest things, you're spending time beating yourself up saying, oh, I wasn't there for my son for XYZ. I couldn't do this. At work, I had to report at 9:30, but my son, I got late because of XYZ. So I'm saying that's going to be life. And I think the day we stop beating ourselves up, I think we'll be much happier, as leaders. I mean, just overall, women will be much happier as leaders.
So true, so true. Simran, I want to come to you and welcome back because I remember reading some of your Instagram stories and laughing my head out. But would love for you to share it. That what do you do when it gets like too much? Like, what's your go-to route?
You know me from before, so I think humor sort of just really helps ease out situations. And I mean, there have been like crazy times where you want to just blow someone's head off, and but you know that you can't do it, of course. Also, the fact that today we're having this discussion is amazing because we all know that everyone is going through the same thing, and you're not alone in this. And that is why social media today is also great, because this was not there. So, like when we were growing up, our parents didn't have this. Today it's okay if, say, your child did not wear white. It's okay if you messed up, and all of us mess up every day. And being a lot of us, I'm sure, are perfectionists, and we have OCD about small things. Accepting that it's not going to happen is the biggest thing. That's where we sort of realize that, okay, it's not going to work out the way we want to. And think I've taught I'm trying to teach my kids, because my dad was also has a great sense of humor, and we always try and infuse that in sticky situations, because the obvious rule is to sort of scold and get upset, which all of us, including me, still do. But if you just crack in that joke, and I think also, like, just all the time, like that, the other day, my son is like coming back from school in the car, and he's like, "Mama, today I'm feeling frustrated." And he's all of like 5 years old. And I was like, okay, so clearly I'm saying that on a daily basis. So that's why he's feeling it. And my thing was like, do you know what frustrated is? And I was like, okay, I'm sure he knows, he's seen it. So I said, what's making you frustrated and what is it? And he's like, I think I'm going to have a very frustrating day. And I said, wow, I really need to control my language at home. So yeah, so I think humor sort of just does the trick for me.
True that. So Mansi, 14 years of parenting and even longer successful acting career. What is your recipe for those days when it gets too much? And now the young lady is leading the house, but I'm sure she was also having frustrating days when she was 5 or 4 or 2. So what did you do back in the day?
Um, I don't know, but I don't have memory of what I did. It's too, with age catching up, I've become gajani, so I don't have much memory of it. But but in today's times, when I remember, when I get frustrated, I eat a lot. Then I feel guilty. I ate so much. Then I go out like a mad woman, and then I get too tired, and I don't address the problem till the time I don't have the mental energy to actually go and address it. Initially, I used to feel very guilty. I would rush to address the problem and make it more messier. Now, what I do is I give myself that time. That no, I'm not ready to face it right now. I'm not. The day I take 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, a week. The day I'm ready, even with Omisha, sometimes I cannot handle her. I really cannot handle her. I just feel that I'm losing the battle, I'm losing the argument. I'm not that strong mother that I was, where my child said, okay, is to listen to me. She's not doing that. She has sometimes the more scary part, Samita, when your child has a valid argument and you cannot fight it. You know that the child is right, but somewhere it hurts you that, as a mother, you couldn't see that. And she saw that. Sometimes that ego battle also happens, because we end of the day, we all are humans, and we all are normal people with all our egos and, envies and jealousies and everything. So I don't address the problem. Then when I have the mental capacity, I go do it and I sort it. Most of the time, it's Somisha who sorts it out for me. I think my problems are more on the professional front. At home front, I'm very much sorted. But one thing that has helped strengthen mine and Omisha's relationship is the trust and the respect that we have for each other, irrespective of the fact that I'm a mother, she's a daughter, and what age group we belong to. I'll narrate a small incident very quickly. My daughter was 6 years old when I resumed work, and because my work is long working hours, we set up CCTV cameras around the house and in her room as well. She was 6 and she came to us and she spoke to me and my husband and she said, is that because you don't trust me? Because you want to have a look at me, what I'm doing the whole day? And I said, no, no, Mia, it's not for you. It's for me to see. Then she asked me, is it because you don't trust Ipa, which is a nanny? You think she's going to do something wrong to me? That's why you fix the cameras? And I said, no, no, it's not for that, Misha. It's for me to see it. But that was the time when I realized that my child is feeling that mistrust that as parents we are having, that probably we don't trust what you're going to do behind our back. That's why we put that eye so that we can watch you. So we came up with an option and we said, okay, we have put up a switch for it. I said, you know what, Omisha, you can switch it off whenever you want and you can switch it on whenever you want. No problem. She did that. She fidgeted with that switch for a week. And trust me, then she left it on and did not even bother to think about it. So I think these small, small things where we always feel that, we हमारा ध्यान देगा तो बच्चे ठीक रहेंगे. ये बहुत ही गलत बात है. जितना आप ज्यादा ध्यान रखोगे उतना वो ज्यादा conscious होते जाते हैं. And they feel that, we've been watched, you know. And then they start having that distrust with you too. So that's something we have maintained, all three of us. Even we are co-parenting. My husband doesn't stay with us, but we co-parent Misha. Sometimes I get hyper, but he's a calmer one, so he calms her down. So we need each other to, to bring her up. But all three of us have that equal amount of respect and equal amount of trust amongst each other, which just has smoothened the process and reduced the frustrations in the relationships. So I think that's what is important. The trust and respect, no matter what age group you belong to, is very, very important.
So true, so true. And I think for everybody listening in, here are four successful leaders telling you it's okay to be not okay. And I think just take that away for everyone that when you're having a bad day, everybody has it. And this is a lot of successful people. And this advice is not just for women, but for men equally. It's okay not to be okay and take a break and come back. And I think Mohita summed it up in the comment really easily that stop beating yourself up. It's all right that we go forward. So we've been around here, and I'll jump into the most the space I know a little bit about, which is digital parenting, and basically uh, in parenting, a lot of the stuff you guys do, you have seen it from your parents, your grandparents. It has come to us over generations. But this new inclusion in our lives was the internet. And uh, your quick one tip each. I know, Simran, you need to jump off, so I'll start with you. What is that quick tip which is like your go-to when it comes to digital stuff, when it comes to stuff on phone, tab, laptop? What would be that tip to another parent if you had to give, and if they were asking how to take these decisions?
So my kids are 4 and 6, and I think communication at this stage is pretty good. It's bang on. I like it that my kids can never ever touch any instrument and just put it on. They're not allowed to do it. They have to check with me, Mama, can we see this just for this much time or whatever. They have to ask me or anyone at home first. So communication is really important, and they know that a few things. Like honestly, like you said, we can't control what they have to watch. At even at 6 years old, I can't control because they know what they want to watch, but they are given the choices. So I give them that platform, and that's where you also sort of really help out. You give out those recommendations that these are the things that you have, and then you choose. The fact is that if they are choosing, they feel empowered. Yeah, if you just put on something and say, this is what you have to watch today, they're never going to listen to it. If they, I mean, I'm sure at 2 years they might, at 4 and 6 they will not. So one is just really communicating a lot that you have 30 minutes every day to watch TV or whatever you want to game, whatever. There's just 30 minutes of screen time. And over and above, these are the options that you have. And you have to choose from that. So my kids cannot just put on a TV or YouTube or anything. And thankfully, we have OTT platforms today, so their horizon is definitely wider. I really avoid YouTube as much as I can. I know you have YouTube for kids and ad free, but there is no control. I feel in YouTube. I probably haven't used it much, so I prefer to stick to regular Netflix, Amazon, Disney. And secondly, I know it's difficult to do, but I don't watch too much of screen. And they copy you, kids copy what you do. So they never see me sitting around and just all the time sitting from the screen. So I give that as an example. I said that I'm not doing so much screen time, there is no reason you are doing. So I guess setting an example also sort of somewhere plays a role.
Super, super. Shivani, what would be your tips to digital parents out there? And you just have a 2-year-old now, so you got a long way to go.
Yes, I agree. So I think no personal experience tips, but would like to agree with Simran. So for example, we've not switched on the television in our house for 2 years and a few months now since Abir was born. So and I
That's
think
disappointing for me.
yeah, it is. It is indeed, Mansi. So yeah, no, and I think
Kidding.
usually our patterns were post work. My husband and I would sit kind of in the evening, spend an hour and a half watching something, and that's not happened for a very long time. And I think just these basic things of saying that completely agree that if I don't sit in front of the television or something and spend my time doing it all day all evening, that's not what Abir will see, and hence he won't want to see it either. And I think that's, to me, that's the only way of really really kind of setting an example. And I think that's basically what I would tell parents. I think the other thing is, I mean, just in terms of control, you can't control everything. uh, Kids are exposed to the digital medium today. They're schooling from home, they can watch what they want. I think just kind of putting some boundaries and saying that it's all right, we understand you're going to be doing this, but can it be like 30 minutes a day or 60 minutes a day, whatever that is. And hence have that boundary. The last thing I would say is that it's very important to push kids to do other things, right? Because get them out, play sports, make friends in the community. I mean, that's how all of us grew up, and I think those days are, they seem like they're kind of far from what they were like when we were growing up. Just in terms of getting out in the evening, spending 4 hours outside. And I think that really, like, that's what I would urge my, and that's what I ask him to do even now when he's 2 years old. And that's something that I would urge all parents, because the more time they spend at home, the more time they are exposed to things which are digital. So if we can find, like, kind of different ways of keeping them engaged, especially in the first 6, 7, 8 years of their life when there is more control. And post that, of course, there's very little. But I mean, at least at that time, if we can do things, I mean, it'd be great. I mean, one small example of that would be, like, Akanksha, for example, takes her daughter for horse riding. And no matter what, in the midst of COVID, pre post, and started very early at 1.5 2 years old. And I think just those kind of really different things, which, while we control some digital part, can we do other things to just kind of help them lead a more balanced life.
Balance is definitely the key going forward. And Simran has jumped off, but do check out Kids Stack because it has lots of these toys which are very different. Akanksha, any tips, and then I'll come to Mansi.
Yeah, so continuing from what Shivani said, I started taking her to horse riding. So that led to her love for horses. Now, all she wants to see online is just horses. So, so it's actually been a little easy for me. So I would just say, when she was born, I was like, okay, no screen. I'm going to make sure this is going to happen. For 1.5 years, I used to fly over 16 hours of a flight, take one full suitcase of toys, and we used to, put like a mat on the in the aircraft and play, and not like watch anything. I didn't watch anything, neither did she. But unfortunately, we spent too much time at home with this pandemic, and we just couldn't control that situation, right? That, so yes, we have sort of accepted that screen is a part of their life. They have that kind of medium out there, so they will explore it. But I guess communication is really a key. I know it's young for them. I mean, they're very young right now. Maybe sometimes we think they may not understand what we are saying, but open-ended questions sometimes help, right? Like, I used to ask her, would you want to watch a lion? Would you want to watch tiger? Would you want to watch like, how does a monkey run? So things like that she could relate to. And once I started asking her these things, she started telling me what she wants to watch. That led her making that choice. She was happy with the fact that she was able to watch something, and also the content was pretty decent, right? I mean, it was nice. It was helping her learn something, and with time, that has evolved for us, right? And now we're at a point where she talks just too much, and she can still tell me what she wants to watch. But those are things that she continuously does at her school, or with the extra co-curricular. And we are, and like Shivani, we're pretty active that way. I try to take her as much outside as I can. Whatever little things that we could do with the situation that we were in, that just helps them to sort of decide what they want to watch. And it sort of limits you to let them just do anything on the screen. And setting up a little timeline is important. Like, her dinner time is her luxury time. She can do whatever she wants to at the dinner time. So those 30 minutes, 35 minutes, she gets to watch what she wants to. But then also, we've started discussing and saying, okay, do you want to watch this, do you want to watch that? And then it sort of leads to, I guess, the right things at this point. But I don't know how long this is going to go. Of course, there'll be a point where she will know a lot more than I do, even online. So I'm hoping that we can still talk about it and do it the right way.
Oh, totally. So balance, nature, and I mean something from our side of digital parenting, I can confirm routine is really boring for kids. So how do you create a routine, but it still seems like chaos for them is quite the fine art. So Mansi, we give the last word to you. What would be your tips for the digital parents out there trying to balance it all out?
So, as a mother of a teenager, I would say three magic buttons: mute, block, report. I love them. Another thing, the fourth thing is what I have always told Amisha is what's private stays private till you're not sharing it to the other person. Even if it's your best friend, even if it's whoever, it's only private till it is with you. The moment you share it with somebody else, it's public. So be very, very particular about what you're sharing online, what information you're giving out. You're out somewhere, you're gallivanting with your friends or whatever. You click picture, you add location, you are exposing where you are right now. So be very, very aware of how you're using the digital space, which can be used like we see today in Ukraine and Russia how social media is actively being used. Of course, it's banned now, but that's how it is. It is supposed to be used in adverse situations. It is a boon in today's times. So you need to use it responsibly, and of course, little fun is nowhere wrong, Amitabh. I always believe not only no, it's not just about only work. Of course, love Instagram reels. हम सोचते हैं 5 रील देंगे उसके बाद we are going to keep gadget down and then you go on for 2 hours. I can totally understand that, but yes, fun is important too. Using every space responsibly, be it online, offline, and being of less inconvenience to others is what makes life for us and others also beautiful. Be it online, offline.
So true, guys, and I must tell you, Mansi just reminded me of my first interview with her, which was in for Twee Surfing back in 2017 or 18. We were just introducing Twitter and going through all these aspects of report, block, and mute. So, firstly, thanks a lot. There were lots of points you guys said in very casually, but they were extremely inspiring to get it from practitioners of leadership, of motherhood, of putting together a career as well as taking care of your child. And like I said in the beginning, this is for all the guys out there. This question we never get asked. Nobody's going to ask me, Ami, how are you going to manage a child and a startup or a child and a career? So maybe on this Women's Day, we celebrate the leadership on this panel. Simran had to jump off because she had to do a little bit of parenting, pick up her kids from school. So would really like to thank all of you. And on behalf of Ranga, once again, what we are trying to do is bring about that balance, that how our children use technology for fun, learning, expressing themselves, and do not get used by it. So their data, their privacy, their safety remains priority. And that's the direction we want to go on a platform. And would really like to thank all four of you from the bottom of my heart. It just took one message, you guys agreed, and I hope, and I know I'm doing a presentation with Shivani in Vasant Valley really soon, but I hope we get to do this offline as well, where we spread awareness with a little bit of knowledge and more of practice. So yeah, thank you. Happy Women's Day to all four of you, and thanks for making time for us.
Thank you,
Thanks
Amita,
for
for
having us.
having us. And thank you, all gorgeous women. Yeah, such beautiful insights. Even
Likewise,
if I have a teenager, it just you
lovely.
just took me back to my 5-year-old and 6-year-old days. I was while you the way you all were talking, I was just thinking, what I was doing when I was a mother to a 5 and 6-year-old. Such golden days. Just make the most of it.
True, true.
Thank
Okay.
you so
Bye
much.
bye.
Lovely
Thank
being
you so
here.
much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Amita.
Bye.
Much love to you and the
See
team.
you. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye. Bye bye bye. See you, friends. Thanks for joining in. And do check out ranga.in, where we help digital parents make informed digital choices. All the experts, all the leaders who are on the panel, if you have any questions for them, send them in and we'll make sure we get them back. And we are also starting in person workshops and talks on digital parenting. So if your school, college, RWA would like Ranga to come in and have a discussion with you about digital parenting, well then, just drop us a message and keep safe. Use the internet with responsibility. Have a great time. On the chat messages, you can see you can drop in a mail to pratishtha@ranga.in or visit us at ranga.in, and in contacts you have all our details. Would love to interact with you about digital parenting. So once again, a very, very happy Women's Day to all of us, and let's celebrate it with responsibility.